Roots and Blues Live, and I'm here with the amazing Albert Castiglia in Falls Church, Virginia. Thanks a lot, Albert.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get you on camera for a while now, and I appreciate you squeezing me in.
Finally made it happen.
Yeah. So a little bit of your background. When did you start playing the guitar?
I was 12.
And you remember that vividly?
Well, my uncle had a guitar laying around. He lived in my grandmother's house, and I used to mess around with it. And he taught me a few chords, and he moved away for a while and left a songbook with chords on the back of it, and with a chord chart, and told me to learn the rest myself. So that's what I did. It wasn't a specific day, or I can't remember the specific day I picked up. I do remember when my uncle gave me my first electric guitar, which was a piece of shit Sears and Roebuck. It looked like a Fender Jaguar, and it had these weird buttons on it. There must have been 6 or 7, but it didn't work anyway. The wires were all disconnected, and I played it in the back of my dad's car. My dad was driving, and he turned around and said, "What are you doing playing that? What is that? What is that? That's for drug addicts and alcoholics." So it just motivated me to want to keep playing. He thought it was a deterrent.
It actually pushed you on.
Well, I never really was very rebellious, but that was like my one outlet of rebellion was playing the guitar.
So you were a good kid, straight A student?
I wasn't a great student, but I was an okay student. I never really got into much trouble.
So how did you? What happened? Obviously, so you learned how to play the guitar. Was that you were self-taught?
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you take lessons at all?
No. I watched other people, and sometimes people would show me things, but mainly just from watching people.
Right. And what were you listening to back then? Well, who were your influences?
Well, before the blues came along, it was classic rock. It was Hendrix and Dylan and Zeppelin, Beatles and the Stones.
Yeah, same stuff we were all listening to.
Yeah, but then I bought a Muddy Waters album in '85. I think in '85, I picked up the Hard Again album, the Muddy Waters Hard Again album, and that was what changed everything for me in terms of what I wanted to do with my life.
How old were you then?
I was about 15.
Okay.
15 or 16.
So, and that's your first real exposure to the blues, and
yeah.
You knew then?
Well, no, it wasn't my first. I don't think it was my first exposure. No, I was listening to B.B. King and Otis Rush, but for some reason that particular record was what really solidified my path. There's just something about that particular album that really got me.
So when did you get your first band together?
1990. In like 80, I played I jammed with people, and I played with, I did little session things with bands, but I wasn't in the permanent band situation until like 1990. There was a band called the Miami Blues Authority. It was all guys that worked for the county, much older than I was, and they all worked in county government.
Yeah, you told me you used to do that, right? You were.
Well, I was a social worker, but they were involved. They worked for like commissioners, county commissioners. So we got a lot. I got a handful of corporate gigs and stuff, playing for commissioners and stuff like that. Played in bars, and I think they would never admit it, but I think they wielded some of their influence on some of these club owners to get us gigs.
Whatever.
To give us gigs,
whatever it takes.
But it was great. It was a great experience, and they had opened me up to some real cool music, like Little Feat and the Lamont Cranston Band, and real obscure Midwest bands. And Nighthawks, and just real great bands.
Were you ever into like the Grateful Dead psychedelic stuff?
Yeah, they got me into the Dead too.
Yeah?
I went to 3 Dead shows because of my affiliation with those guys.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I went to in '88. I went in '88. I went to a show in '88, one in '89, and then one in '94. I think the first one I went to, the first Dead show I went to, they played Dark Star in Miami, and it was the first time they had played it in 15 years.
Nice.
I knew that. I only knew that because this hippie next to me was like,
They're
"Hey,
playing,
listen to Dark Star,
they're playing
man."
Dark Star. Yeah, yeah. I did a few too. I did a few shows.
Two of them were really, really good. One of the shows was kind of, but it was a great experience. Yeah, I
That's
love
cool.
going to those shows.
You ever play? You don't ever play anything like that, do you?
We used to do Beat It On Down the Line.
Really?
Oh yeah, we played Beat On Down the Line. We did kind of like the Dead's version of Hard to Handle.
Nice.
Sometimes the band, my band, we do Fire on the Mountain sometimes.
I think I have heard you play that.
I like playing Sugaree with some friends of mine. I love Sugar. Sugaree's like my favorite Dead song.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a band called Crazy Fingers
Yeah.
down in Miami, in South Florida. It's like the best Dead band in Florida, and I jam with them on occasion. We just did that a couple weeks ago. I just jammed with them
Cool.
on that. Yeah, I love the Dead.
And your big break was your big break was with Junior Wells.
Right.
And how did that come about? I mean, how did you end up playing with him?
We had a mutual friend in Florida, and he was in town I think it was New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1996. He was in town. He was coming to town, and she called me and asked if I wanted to go see him. And she told me to bring my guitar. I said, well, all right, but don't push him to bring me up. Ah, where's that? So we rode up there, and she was able to get him to bring me up on stage. And his road manager told me, warned me that I'd better be good, because if I didn't play well, he was going to embarrass me on stage. And he's done it. He's done it to club owners that played guitar and sat in. These guys were paying him money, and he just humiliated them. Now, a club owner told me, this is a club owner in South Florida, told me, and he played guitar. He hired Junior to play this club. And Junior brought him up to jam, and he didn't like what he was playing. And he was like, "What are you playing, Mom?" And he was just giving him a hard time during the set. And I told him, the club owner, I said, don't feel too bad. He did that to me all the time. This was years later. Yeah, he did that to me all the time. Don't worry about it. He goes, yeah, but you didn't pay him $5,000.
That's
Which was cool. But I was working at the welfare office at the time, and no matter what happened, it was still going to be better than anything I was doing at work at the time. So I was ready for whatever he was going to throw at me, but it didn't work out that way. It worked out really well.
So how long between that night and when you joined them?
Well, he hired me a month later, in early February. He hired me temporarily I filled in for his guitar player. Did 3 nights with the band. They flew me up to Buffalo. I did Buffalo, Cleveland, and Detroit with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back home.
When was that? What year?
February '97.
Okay.
And then early April of '97, I got the call full-time, for the full-time gig, and I moved up to Chicago. They asked, his road manager, Michael Blakemore, called me and said, can you be in Chicago in 3 days? And I said, yeah, I can do it. Sure, and I dropped everything. I left everything and moved to Chicago. Didn't know where I was going to stay.
That must have been nerve-wracking, huh? No?
I was just happy to get the hell out of Florida and get out of that job. And I was, I didn't care. I just I was going to, I was going to work. I didn't really, I was pretty, I guess when you're that young, I was 27 at the time. I mean, when you're in your 20s, you don't really, you kind of live for the moment more. You don't really think about tomorrow. So I didn't really think about it. I showed up at my cousin's apartment. Him and his wife had just gotten married, and I stayed with them for a couple of days. That didn't work out, and then I wanted to stay in a transient hotel for a couple of weeks. And I was like Blues Brothers kind of places, right next to the L train, and that was cool. And then I had another cousin that lived there, and I stayed at his house for a couple of weeks, and I found a place, got settled in. It all worked out,
Mm-hmm.
I was just happy every minute of it. Even the tough times there was just amazing.
So how long were you with him? I mean, he was...
Well, I was less than a year. It was about 9 months, and then he got sick. And he died January 15th of 1998.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't very long, but man, we toured heavy that short period of time.
You learn a lot?
Oh
Yeah?
yeah, yeah. He was great.
Any one thing that sticks out in your mind?
His ability to connect with his audiences. Before I played with him, I just kind of kept my head down in the bands I was playing with. I just kind of played, and I just thought that was enough to get people to respond to what you were doing. But I realized after being with him that there's more to it than just playing. There's this thing. You got to be able to let the audience feel like they're a part of it, and they are a part of it. You got to let them in. And he had an ability to do that. He just had a great ability to connect.
Well, I see you're able to do that now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wished he'd have come into my life sooner, but because I just didn't know. I just didn't know what it was all about. It's not just about playing.
Yeah, that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're one of you. They're no, the audience is no different than you. And he always made time for them too. I was never like, I always talked to everybody, but he always made time for his audience. I mean, we did a show in Detroit at a theater. It was about 500-seater, and it took us 3 hours to get out of there after the show because he saw everybody. Everybody lined up after the show was here, and he talked to everybody.
That's cool.
And I find that's a fun part of the whole gig too.
So he was a genuinely nice guy.
He was.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be cranky, I mean, he could be an ornery SOB, but my dad was a tough guy. I mean, he was not abusive, but he was a very strict person. He could say some mean things. So whatever, those mean things that Junior would say, didn't really faze me too much.
Yeah.
He was very nurturing, but he could be very tough if you felt you weren't giving your best. He'd get pretty hard on you, and he could do it on stage too. He'd be on stage, just cussing you out if he thought you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. But he had a good heart, and he took care of me in a short time I was with him.
I have a feeling he'd be pretty proud of you.
I hope so. I hope so. He really was looking out for me. I remember one time we were on a blues cruise, and we were hanging out at the bar. I had to look after him while the road manager was taking care of business, and he was telling me, he told me, he said, I don't expect you to be in this band very long, because you're going to do your own thing one of these days. But just watch me and watch, learn from everything you see on the road, and take that with you when the time comes where we're not going to be in the band anymore. And it was very prophetic. I didn't realize it. I didn't know he was going to go, and he left us shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knew something, and he was just trying to tell me something before he left.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. It was a great moment.
I'm sure you think of him a lot.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I mean, he really opened the door for me. I was working in the welfare office in Florida, and Miami at the time, it was as far from the blues source as it gets. I mean, and he just came out of nowhere, and his simple act of generosity and taking me under his wing and taking me up out of Florida and opening this world up to me, that little gesture changed my life.
I have a feeling some other doors might have opened for you.
Of course.
Yeah, because...
Well, it led to other things. Because of that door opening, all these other things happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the first one to give me the shot.
Right.
And you just never know. You never know what would have happened if he hadn't come along.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it may never have happened, but I have a feeling it would have for you.
You think?
Yeah, I think. I've seen you play enough times, and yeah, you're good, Albert.
Thank you.
I mean, I hope you know that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I see you still strive to get better, which is good, because if you're not doing that, what's the point, right?
You have to. You always have to. Clapton had a great quote. He said, being the best is an ideal. And it's probably something you can never be, but you strive to be. You got to try and do your best all the time.
Yeah.
You never stop learning, ever, in music. Ever. You never stop learning.
Yeah, I've had other people tell me the same thing, and these are the people that are on their way up, and not the people that are going nowhere. So,
Mm.
yeah, I've come to find out that's true. I don't play, but you know, I've talked to enough people now that that's definitely seems to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about Florida a lot. Now Florida seems to be the hotbed of the blues lately, which is incredible.
It's a great scene right now. The whole state. I mean, whether it's in South Florida, there's J.P. Soares and myself and Joey Gilmore,
With Damon Fowler.
Damon Damon in Tampa. There's a great scene in Tampa with Damon and Selwyn Birchwood and there's somebody. Oh, Sean Chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of great guitar players and singers.
And
Betty
clubs.
Fox, Betty Lou Fox, great singer. Julie Black, right? Got great scene.
Yeah, and a lot of great places to play too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems
Well,
to
that's I'm very lucky because the demands aren't always there for me on the road. So when it's not, I can make a living at home. You know, and when the road calls and they're ready for me, I'll go out. You know, my tour schedule is a lot better and a lot more challenging now, but you know, it's not as consistent as some of the bigger names. But so, hey, when you're ready to call me, I'll be down in Florida working.